backstab later on or activate himself at a later point in the round. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our YouTube audience. These guys, we have just gone live on YouTube, and as you can see, the players are ready to walk onto the stage.
And they are walking on the stage. They are looking really happy, and hopefully this happiness, the smiles are going to be converted into victory. May the best team win, that's all I'm going to say. But I like the fact that you brought up this point where there are certain rounds where you see Deathmaker on the flank or on the lurk roll, which is perfectly mentioned, especially if you remember, there's that one time on the map of Haven when against Godlike, Deathmaker was pushing all by himself on the C-long, trying to fake and bring as much as rotation as possible. I mean, it's a whole nother story that Godlike didn't really fall for that fake, but that's a prime example where there will be certain rounds where BLT will try to play with your mind and force out a rotation with the fake.
Yeah. Now it's gonna be up to MLT Esports to figure out which one's a fake, which one isn't. And I guess the only real way that MLT can figure it out is to not try and counter Velocity too much, but instead focus on bringing their own plan to fruition. As long as they can stick to their own game plan and force Velocity to adapt to them instead, that's when they have the reins of the game in their hands.
Exactly, and speaking about letting Velocity to adapt to them, that means they will need to show a lot of resistance on the defending side in the first map. So the resistance has to be there, and with the resistance, you guys will need to make sure that you're winning those individual duels as well inside the site. If you're going to lose out those duels, then VLT will have a clean straw on the site, and will get the site control, and it shouldn't be that tough for them to pull off the entire round as well. Retaking against a VLT on the attacking side, it's difficult. Next to impossible. It's really difficult. A lot of teams have done it in the past, but still, doing it is something you are going to be gambling a lot as well, and you will be taking a lot of hurt on yourself, so you might as well try to resist the site control for as long as possible. Wait for your team to back you up, and then pretty much try and take down VLT, because that's the only way you can pull it off. You said that in the mid-round situation especially, VLT, they just completely go quiet. They let the opponent's intuitions kick in, they let the opponent's thoughts kick in, the second guessing kick in, and they just start playing those mind games in the middle of the round, and then there's a quick burst on the site when they're expected the least. So these are those little strategies hopefully MLT is ready for. But ladies and gentlemen, here we move on forward towards the map Veto. The first ban is going to be from the side of MLT. As always, they're going to go for the Lotus ban. VLT, on the other hand, what are they going to ban? They're going to ban Ascent, the map that they struggled with against Godlike. They don't want to play it anymore.
And for good reason, right? Ascent is one of those games where no matter how good of a team you are, there's always a chance that you can lose. And now, because Godlike kind of pushed Velocity's limits last time, they want to send out a message that they cannot be messed with. You cannot screw around with VLT. So they want to send a loud and clear message by picking up the strongest maps and giving absolutely nothing to MLT Esports. They take no risks whatsoever.
I am a little worried for MLT over here. I feel like instead of going for the comfort ban on Lotus, they should have banned out Haven.
Yeah,
that could have been a huge target ban, and also could have given them a huge advantage. Now, if you are one of those underdog teams where you're looking to take down a giant like VLT, the best way to take him down is to catch him off guard. And the only way you could have caught him off guard is either pick a new map Lotus and try to practice on that map beforehand and then try to take him down on Lotus, because it's of course one of those new maps and you highly doubt that the enemy team's going to be ready or not. And considering it's a new map and you guys haven't really played that anywhere else, so there's going to be no VODs available for them to research on you to counter on that map. So it's one of those biggest surprise moments. But for now, the map Veto was in front of us, and we're going to be kicking things off in Haven as we do move on forward, ladies and gentlemen, towards the agent select. You guys can see Deathmaker, Veto 2 Gold, of course, on that duelist. They're always going to be there.
Well, no surprises in terms of agent picks. More or less standard agent composition coming out from either side. The only primary difference being Hellfighter on the Astra, meanwhile Bad Love is playing on the Omen. So yeah, nothing major, but I would like to point out though, whenever Hellfighter's on that Astra, he is a beast. Not just in terms of fighting and fragging, but also in terms of how he sets his teammates up. When half the site is covered by Hellfighter's smokes and his concussions and his gravity wells, and the rest of the site is covered with Eccles utility, there's really no place for you left to stand. The floor turns into either a bunch of lava or a bunch of concussive strikes, and at that point anyone who is defending on MLT Esports will either die or will have to pull off some miracles. Luckily for MLT Esports, they're starting on the attacking side, so they won't face the brunt of this massive utility dump. But I might be wrong because Velocity is looking to push Deathmaker in right off the bat.
Yeah, and this is quite an aggressive start for Velocity, but they are going to get caught with a lot of people in their faces. MLT, it was a huge stack from them towards the C side, but now Excali as well is going to try to capitalize from the back lines with a ghost in the hand, just waiting for someone to overstep his boundaries. And Excali will try to execute him out the game. VLT taking things a little slow and cautious. They're letting the players of MLT do it for them. Still just holding the back lines. They're trying their best to just choke him in C-Long. Not going to let them go anywhere else. Venka will try to fall back slowly and steady, but I'm pretty sure Excali will just try to execute him, but no, it's going to be the answer. Badman's the one who falls in his crosshair. Excali finds a great opening.
Yeah. The whole point of Velocity over there was to just push into the C-Long. Now, unfortunately, that Maker got counterflashed by Batman, but Excali makes sure that they can't leave C corridor yet. As soon as he neutralizes the advantage, they fall back towards the B side, hoping to catch Militant in the middle of their transition, and they might just do it now. Excali gets double peeked. Doma extends further to help him out, and they get the trades positively.
Oh, Venka, 50 little shots on mid. And that cost him his life. He was still able to soften up Excali. He's taking him down to 48 HP. It's not going to be enough to completely shut him down, of course. And now the shock darts are going to deal a little bit more damage on the man who's going for the spike plant. Bad Love on the default box. The post plant positionings are not the best you can ask for, but as long as you've got the turret on the contact, it's always going to be a little surprising factor. Excali just holding out with the recon dart. They're taking their sweet little time, even though it's just a pistol round. They're really waiting it out for as long as possible. And now it's going to be a quick burst on the site. Bad Love all by himself on the default box, but Hellfighter will be managing to dodge that flash.
Again, as soon as that recon dot was broken, Velocity figured out this one towards Graffiti. All they needed to do was check Hell, and luckily enough, the last player revealed himself. Bad Love's position was figured out the moment he peeked along with his teammate.
Velocity Gaming, first round in the back. The second one shouldn't be that tough for them. Should be another smooth sailing, considering it's now their anti-eco round. The opponents will be on an eco, but I still don't understand how this fight over here, MLT even lost out on a single player. It should have been a clean 2 sweep, but unfortunately MLT, I guess the flash from it was just too perfect, and the rest of the players were just blinded out. And now MLT, they're going to start moving inside the site. They have went for a force, considering they got the plant down, so they might as well try and force some guns in. Stinger's in the close range will start at her, but the flashes and the retaliation from VLT is just too good. Doma lines all 3 of them up, and MLT, as they try to make their way inside the site, they get melted by Doma Spectre. And now, Bad Love, the last glimmer of hope alive, with just a sheriff in the hand, seems like next to impossible task.
Already lost most of his HP, and Excali, same position but slightly different angle, catches him off guard. Velocity Gaming, the backup that's available to these people is nuts. Eccles, he was all the way towards garage, but he quickly gets onto the C site the moment Hellfighter calls for help. And a barrage of flashes rains down from either side, you know? It was basically blind people shooting at other blind people. But Doma with a 6th sense sprays everybody down. And this is mostly possible because Eccles arrived on the scene to stop Militant in their tracks. If this is the level of backup that Velocity provide in the rest of the rounds as well, then Militant won't be able to do much even in their buy rounds. Speaking of which, it should have been a buy round now, but because their previous force buy failed, they once again find themselves on Sheriffs.
It's a little change over here. Now Excali's playing on the A site. Interesting. KJ, she's got her utilities towards garage. The Nano Swarms are available. The turret contacts there too. Pretty tough to take this one away from their hands, considering MLT, they're already struggling when it comes to the economical side of the game. They've got Sheriffs on the board. Definitely do want to make VLT feel the pain. But VLT, they're playing this so disciplined. They're playing this so patiently. Deathmaker on the long side will try to go for some sort of damage on the opponents. He's already damaged him out quite a lot. And the dash as well was primed a while ago, so he doesn't have the dash available anymore. And Deathmaker's quite low as well, so now we'll try to play a little bit from the back or a little safe.
Yeah, but he's already dinked so many people. Bad Love is down to 3 HP. Batman's one shot. Ooh, okay, this wasn't supposed to
That's
happen.
done.
Doma, though,
Spike down,
like
attackers
always,
spawn.
making things look easy as he cleans shop.
30 seconds
Yeah, just
left.
claiming those kills that were already damaged quite a lot. Rio's managed to sneak in quite deep, all the way towards Garage. And Doma, even though he hears its turrets getting taken down,
Whoa,
he
okay.
was still looking somewhere else. And Rio, with those two massive shots on their opponents, now it seems like
10
there is some
seconds
sort of an
left.
opening being found, but unfortunately the time is going to be
enemy
quite short.
remaining.
He's falling
No
short
way.
on time. Rio finds another clean shot on the enemy. And
enemy
Eccles
remaining.
will now realize that the
Spike
plants went
planted.
down, and it's going to be a clean sweep from Eccles.
Yeah, it's a clean sweep from Eccles, but it could have been a lot cleaner from Velocity. Rio started to rack up a little rampage over there with the sheriffs. It's quite funny. I mean, yes, his position towards Garage was noted. It was noted, right? There's no way he goes unchecked over there.
No more.
But somehow, he still finds the shot, and Deathmaker also offers him a freebie. So, impressive performance from Rio. But
Again-
regardless, this was an eco round for Militant, and Velocity
Yeah.
were also on a bonus of sorts, so it's no loss for them.
Exactly. That's not going to hurt him quite a lot. They've still got the Vandals and the Phantoms on the board. Deathmaker's got his hands on the Operator, so that's quite a big upgrade for Deathmaker, of course. But there was a point I really wanted to bring up in that previous round, and that was if Doma knew that his turret's been taken down, one thing was completely clear, that there's a guy in the garage area. So Doma could have tried to reposition himself in a different angle, but instead he kept himself exposed from both the sides of dying. So I guess that was a little mistake from Doma, but it's completely fine. I guess as long as you're able to win that round, that's all that matters. MLT,
Take flight.
still they're not really able to figure that stuff out. And always MLT needs to realize whenever they're pushing towards C, there's a man from Garage who's pushing out aggressive. So what they can try to do to get a pick is fake the C site and let the Garage man fall in from Garage and try to pretty much take him down with a lurk.
Yeah, that could be a wonderful tactic. I mean, so far, Militant Esports have used their shock darts towards Garage, hoping to break any potential killjoy utility over there. But now that they've entered the A site and whatever
30
utility that
seconds
Duma had placed over there
Spike
has been
planted.
expended, it turns into a 5v5 retake scenario, which is great for the side of Velocity Gaming. They've already utilized the lockdown. The shock darts are probably okay. Yes, they are enough. I guess they must have used an aftershock along with it as well, because the shock darts alone aren't enough to break the lockdown anymore. It's 200 HP, but Eccles uses his aftershock to get the kill onto Wenka. Now that's
enemy
cool. The
remaining.
crossfire is still deadly enough from Militant Esports. Hellfighter's on his way from the back lines, but he's gonna be accounted for.
MLT, a clean round from them. A nice execute. Things worked out according to the plan for MLT Esports. And I'm pretty sure MLT will try to pull that similar sort of an entire take once again against VLT. Considering VLT now, they're going to be forced on some broken buys. They've got Spectres, Bulldogs. A couple of players do have the Vandals and the Phantoms, but once again, it's sort of a broken buy from Velocity. It's not a complete full buy, so this is going to give MLT a little bit more upper hand over the opponents. Bad Love's got from the shadows available, so there's a high chance we might see a fake strategy come in from MLT.
Okay then, ladies and gentlemen. Get your popcorn bucket ready. Deathmaker's in for the aggressive hunt. He gets taken down, but Excali
Spike
wants to
down,
exact
attacker
revenge for his
spawn.
fallen teammate.
Oh my
Even
God,
Doma
this
goes
is-
way beyond the aggressive moves. Hellfighter's in deep territory, and he's been dealt with. This aggression from Velocity is
enemy
actually
remaining.
being
Oh my
stopped by
God.
Militant, and the angles aren't being properly checked. Militant are being fed.
Militant, they played this so perfectly. Reading the opponent so well, they realized that it's going to be an aggressive step from them. They had one man watching out the A-long in the entire A area, making sure they're not going to get flanked from the back
Spike
lines, and he
planted.
was able to find the value as well. The entire mid-push was shut down, and now it's all down to Excali. 1-on-3 situation. This man is definitely capable to pull off an incredible clutch like this, but this time, the opponents are playing quite disciplined as well, so he might just be a little bit too tough. He's got a lot of utilities in the hand. He's got a recon dart if he definitely wants to use that. Nice shot on the first man. Great opening being found. Attack found on the closed left man as well. Venka, there's a high chance he might just get spammed. Recon dart being used as well to get any sort of information. Before now, Excali is just being played around.
Yeah, but I'm surprised he managed to stay alive for that long. The moment he tagged the jet with the recon dot, with the owl drone, backup had arrived from the Omen from the graffiti region. And it would have been a difficult clutch. The odds were stacked against him regardless, but I'm still impressed by the fact that Excali, he's brave enough to try peek that first angle. That's pretty cool. Although, you have to give credit where it's due. Militant Esports survived that onslaught from Velocity Gaming. They turned up the heat, man. They used all their util from Eccles to get Deathmaker into that crucial position. And then Dovuma and Eccles himself also followed up on the back of it. So, Militant Esports, their resilience to hold on against this kind of push is indeed impressive.
Indeed it
and
is.
They figured out...
Deathmaker popped up the Blade Storms. Still, they've got 3 players on the A side, so they're highly anticipating that it's going to be an A execute from them. Battle of still has From the Shadow available. There has to be some sort of a fake coming in from MLT to try and bait out some sort of rotations from the opponents.
Yeah, I mean, considering Velocity are on an eco, Militant can't afford to walk into a stack or one of those random eco holds.
That's a good take from MLT. A clean stroll on the site. There were no sort of KG utilities on the way as well, so nothing's going to be problematic for MLT Esports. And now it's all going to come down to the post plan as well. Look at where Knight Rider's position himself. Quite a cheeky angle, quite a cheeky way to position yourself. And Knight Rider, the late lurk, is also going to catch some players off guard. VLT, they have no clue that there's a huge flank coming from Knight Rider. He finds the first 2, gets the 3rd as well. Could have went for the 4th, but unfortunately, Hellfighter's a little too sharp.
It almost was a collateral of the first 2 players. Doma bravely peeks out of the smoke quick enough to rip off Batman's head. But this round is contained by Militant regardless. They only lose 2 weapons, which is a good amount of economic utility still preserved from them. Yeah, look at that. I mean, Hellfighter and Echoes, they both almost lined up. Would have been a quad kill for Knight Rider over there.
It would have. It would have. But still, that's a huge amount of value being found. 3 players being taken down all by themselves. I'm loving this strategy from MLT Esports. In their buy rounds, they're always having that one man on the lurk on such angle where he's being least expected. And for Wieldy to spot that man out, it's going to be really important. If that one man on the lurk is being spotted out on the attacking side from VLT, that's just going to give them such a huge advantage. But MLT Esports, they completely managed to clear out the B site. And now Velocity.
That too without using much utility. It's surprising to see that it's Eccles who's gonna be peeking out first, and in case somebody covered him from window, then Deathmaker was the one who was supposed to mark that angle. But he unscoped at the worst possible time.
Initiated.
Oh. VLT now they'll need to start to go for these peaks, and as soon as Excali does, he gets greeted with a bullet right to his stone. A clean stroll on the B site. Nothing can be done to stop the opponents now. Doma's going to be the last man available or alive, and his position was given away too because Doma gave away some footsteps. Another clean round in the hands of MLT. MLT, they're making it look so clean. The teamwork you talked about. Oh, man. We talked about the communication, the teamwork. It seemed like those loopholes now are starting to fill up slowly and steadily.
Yeah, and it's not just these loopholes, they're also dealing with this Velocity aggression really well. I mean, out of the 7 rounds that we've seen so far, Velocity have played aggressively only in 3 of those rounds, and all 3 of them have been a failure.
Yeah. They need a tactical timeout, Crips. They have to have a huge word with themselves because Haven is one of those matches where VLT, they have been looking pretty dominant no matter what team is in the front lines. But this time, MLT, they're showing some nice resistance against VLT. And VLT is always one of those teams who is in their driver's seat, but that one man from MLT Esports is always on the lurk, and that's forcing VLT to adapt to MLT.
That's true. I mean, Velocity aren't exactly adapting yet. I would say that they're still trying to enforce their game plan, but I expected Militant Esports will need to bring their own game to win. But so far they're doing a damn good job of adapting to the aggressive plays that Velocity are trying to make. But that's the thing about Velocity, man. They are more than comfortable cutting the aggression at any point. If Militant keep playing these defaults, expecting Velocity to push again and again, then all that's gonna happen is that Militant will end up wasting a lot of time in spawn, waiting for a push from Velocity that's never gonna arrive, and then they're gonna be the ones in pressure to somehow make an execute happen with very little time left.
They're expecting a B take here. 3 guys on the B site, holding quite an interesting angle. They're playing this one quite disciplined. There was an all drone out, but he's not going to be able to spot out anyone. But still, if MLT, they just straight up walk into this trap, VLT, things will not look good for them. Taking their sweet little time, both these teams. They're really just going for any sort of information they're able to find in the early stages. And if they are able to find some vital information, then only they will try to capitalize. And so far, it seems like MLT, they're going to walk inside a trap. There are 3 players waiting for you, but MLT, they managed to dig every single player's grave on the site. No, it's going to be the answer. BLT, somehow they flipped the tables.
And MLT Esports walk right into this trap. At least there's still a silver lining. The spike is recoverable.
30 seconds
Shot
left.
dodged by Duma. Good stuff for now, but this Owl Drone has spotted out Knight Rider. He needs to get the hell out of dodge. Rio's broken the turret towards Garage, and now the playbook is revealed. All the moves that Militants are making are being read by Velocity, and they're comfortable taking their sweet time. They might even stroll a little outside of B to collect the weapons that they managed to drop, and this Rolling Thunder now gets invested. It's gonna be up to Rio. There's so many stuns in his face, but he still managed to get the kills. It's all up to him. 1v2. Both the players in Velocity low on HP. Excali shocked out himself. That's a crucial mistake. And the spray adjustment from Rio.
No.
It's perfect, but he runs out of bullets.
That was so close. That was way too close to comfort. Excali, he accidentally shock darted himself.
Yeah, how does that happen?
Yeah, I guess he just wanted to quickly put that shock dart against the opponent, but unfortunately, as he pressed his A key while he was trying to do so, the timing was just a little bit off on that shock dart. That's why it just straight up bounced on the wall, or just straight up went off on the wall. But that could have cost him the round. It was way too close right there. That switch,
exactly.
That switch on the Classic is what saved VLT's day. If he had a little bit more bullets in the chamber, it should have been MLT's round.
But imagine what would have happened if Excali killed the Spike Panther before it went down. That would have been the end of the round. This one's quite exciting though. From the shadows, expired by Bad Love. He doesn't commit to it. Just uses it like a very expensive recon dart to gather some information. And he does discover that the breach is available towards Heaven. Oh, but despite having that information, Militant used the Rolling Thunder towards A. It doesn't stun anybody, doesn't catch anyone. Deathmaker making easy work of this push.
One after the other pushing in, right in Deathmaker's crosshairs, and VLT, they're anticipating this push so well. Good reads from VLT this time. They were expecting that Rolling Thunder. That's why Deathmaker positioned himself in that pocket. And he was just waiting for them to stroll inside the side as soon as the smokes were placed. MLT, a huge problem when they found out that there is someone inside the smoke, especially Deathmaker when he killed the first man. The breach should not walk in all by himself. He should have used some sort of a flash to try and extinguish the man in the front, but no. He just straight up walked in Deathmaker's crosshairs and met his own death.
Militant aren't running out of hope just yet though. There's plenty of money available on their side, so this is one of those rare situations in Haven where both the teams have decent enough economy and they don't need to worry about money at the very least. But Badman needs to play dodgeball with these lasers. Gets pinged by the drone, but survives the onslaught. In a 4v4 scenario like this, the situation mostly favors the attackers if they group up towards one of these sites and hit it with brute force. But instead, Militant are going for a split. They've made contact towards the C side. They're breaking the nanoswarms and everything. But the spike isn't here yet.
Yeah. Perfect traits. And Doma is playing off of his turret. Perfectly done from Doma. You blink it and you miss it. Now you're down to a 2-on-3 scenario. VLT having a huge advantage, and as soon as I said that, the man advantage was neutralized, but once again, they managed to get it back in their hands. The traits are just tapped it back and forth, and now it's all down to Rio with only 70 HP in the hands. The HP is making it seem really tough. But we have seen some incredible clutches in the past as well.
30
Rio
seconds left.
making his way towards the B side. Probably he's going to go for the plant. He has to. Eccles and Excali, they've got no sort of ultimates available for them to stop the spike plant. It's going to be next to impossible, so the spike will go down. But these guys will need to play off of each other.
Oh, you can't be serious about
10
this one. They're
seconds
playing
left.
ring around the rosies with each other. Rio goes back towards the C side after baiting his escape towards some other part of the map. And unfortunately for him, Velocity are still stationed over here. There's even an aftershock being thrown at him. So regardless of whether you survive the aftershock or not, you're gonna get spammed through the box. I guess you can say that Militant Esports kind of big-brained themselves out of this round.
Yeah.
So there was a little two-pronged approach, right? In that 4v4, 2 Militant players went towards C, the other ones were standing towards the A site, but instead of continuing A, they all decided to go towards C. A little late, that too, which gave Velocity enough time to adjust, and Rio as well. Instead of going back towards any other part of the map, he assumed that Velocity would have moved out and C would be clear, and he couldn't have been more wrong. So they assume that Velocity is going to move away, which is something they don't do in the attacking side, but that same philosophy is used over here on defense as well. So yeah, Militant Esports overthink themselves to death.
Yeah, they outplayed themselves. That's all I can say. But a tactical timeout from MLT too. This is the first tactical timeout from MLT. Let's see what's going to be discussed over here. They are definitely doing a lot of talking. 6-4 is the scoreline. It's not that far away. At VLT, they haven't really established a dominant lead yet. But MLT, they should have something against VLT, and that's the reason why this tactical timeout's probably being called. So we might see certain type of changes in the upcoming attacking round, because there's a lot of talking going on.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of talking to be done. It's kind of interesting how Velocity have organized this watch party of sorts. And it seems to be happening in an outdoor location. It's probably a bar or something, if I'm not wrong.
I don't know.
I didn't see any announcements regarding it. Maybe I'm the one who's slacking off on social media, but it's quite interesting that they've organized this watch party in a massive place like this.
Get out of my way!
Kudos.
Even I had no clue that there was a watch party going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see anything on social medias, but it's fine. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
the internal people, I guess.
Probably.
Probably.
I
High
mean, even
chance.
if it's not, it's still quite impressive.
Yeah, it is quite a cool watch party. Everyone's having a good time watching the game. And I'm pretty sure the players are having a good time as well fighting against MLT. MLT, they're trying their best to make this series as competitive as possible. And with this one, they're able to find Hellfighter. A huge threat neutralized, a huge threat compromised, and now the A side, it seems quite vulnerable. Excali's the only man left over on the A side. Eccles is trying his best to come and help Excali, and he is there too. MLT, they're using the similar tactics that VLT does. Mid-round silence, and let the silence do its work.
They say that dead men tell no tales, but this time the silence speaks more volumes than any other story that you can imagine. Excali, though,
30 seconds
looking
left.
to write a legend of his own, getting kills before Militant can enter the site, and then his shock dart did all the damage in
Spike
the world.
planted.
Battler forced to tank it. He does it for the team, he takes one. But look at this push from Militant. They're trying to break the lockdown by pushing all the way outside, and Doma doesn't let them do it.
Area's clear.
That push was really good. But unfortunately, VLT, they just out-aimed him. Out mechanically. They just shut him down. Doma was there. He was able to shut both of them down. Once again, that push is quite risky. I like the motive. I like the entire intention of you trying to make that push happen, but you're always going to be funneled in one direction. And for the opponent that's holding the angle, it's not going to be tough for him to shut both of you down, because you guys are going to be peeking from the similar angle both the times. So Doma, an easy cleanup for him. And VLT, once again, to make the retake happen on the site. Another round on the board. 7-4 is the scoreline. This is the last round in the first half.
Placing alarm bot.
And that's also, they needed to push out, because the last time the lockdown was used, Militant broke it via just their utility. You know, they used the shock darts and maybe an aftershock along with it. But this time, that wasn't possible. Most of their players were dead, so they had no choice but to push out. The shock darts simply wouldn't have been enough by themselves.
initiated.
Lockdown.
All right.
MLT, they've got something big planned up here. But they're not committing to the C side just yet. They've got the garage
Even if they
control.
want to.
Yeah, they've got the garage control in the hand, and Deathmaker misses the first shot. His initial opportunity is taken away. Now the Blade Storm being popped as well, and Doma from the back lines is just making so much work. He was hiding himself in that cubby. And MLT Esports, whatever they had planned, VLT, they're just sniffing him out slow perfectly. Last man to go. Rio in the front towards the A site, and Rio will manage to shut down Hellfighter. Knight Rider's all the way far away from him, somewhere else on the B site. But now it's starting to make his way slowly and steadily towards the A. He's got the link control all towards him, and a lot of sound cues are given away from VLT.
30 seconds left.
Surprising Rio isn't planting yet. He probably wants to make. He probably wants to allow Knight Rider to make a move. But now that the moves have been made, Rio chimes in with a kill of his own.
Spike planted.
A high chance tables might be flipped, and Rio.
Wow.
These shots are just incredible, MLT. They're able to take this round in their hands just off a solo heroics. Knight Rider on that flank successfully executing that. That lurk was beautiful. And now on the side, it's Rio putting up some numbers on the table. Doma always is there like a burning torch of consistency. But this time, he's going against another Killjoy, one of the best Killjoys in the game. And that's going to be Knight Rider. And he puts the nail in the coffin. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for the first half. 7-5 is going to be the scoreline. Nicely squeezed out the final round, Crips.
Exactly, right? I was kind of concerned about the C push because the lockdown doesn't cover the bottom of long and Doma was already present over there. So even if Deathmaker wasn't able to get too much done with his orb, Doma would have been the insurance policy. And then he activates himself towards the end. I was very concerned because Knight Rider didn't immediately peek out after his fellow Sova died. So I was like, oh no, you're letting Doma get some space. You're not trading him instantly. And I thought that would have been the end, but like you said, even though Doma's been a consistent flame of, he's been a consistent flame, Knight Rider is the one to snuff him out.
Yeah, I mean, it was KJ versus KJ, but this time Knight Rider was a step ahead. He did not expect, and I feel like not peeking out instantly to get that trade was one of the best decisions Knight Rider could have made, because Doma was expected the long angle, so Doma thought, okay, no one peeked out from the long, so I don't think so the last man is towards the long side. And then in the end, Knight Rider pretty much let the mind games play. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for the first half. We're going to be returning back to the second half after this short break.
Can't feel my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Can't feel my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the second half of the game. 7-5 the scoreline. The first half was incredible, but now this is the second half where MLT needs this pistol round in their hands, Crips.
Oh, they definitely do. They've managed to carve out a little glimmer of hope for themselves. 7-5 is much more than MLT could have expected, honestly. I thought that Velocity would be able to take a lot more rounds off. But now that MLT have given themselves this little glimmer of hope, they better make sure they capitalize on it. They can't afford to be sent back into the darkness. Velocity taking things quite slowly. They have stacked up outside of garage, but they're using the drone towards sewers, so they're hoping that Militant will over-rotate. But the moment Doma starts to pop some heads, that's when Militant start to move.
Doma's feeling himself inside the matchup. He's been always that man who's stepping things up on VLT so far, even on the defense, and now it seems like even on the attacking side. The flash is perfect. Rio being completely blinded for eternity. Nothing much can be done. Rio will be taken down easily, and now it's a 3-on-5 scenario. Venka moving slowly and steadily towards the side, but he's going to be faced with the breach flash soon enough. Deathmaker in the pocket as always, playing all the way in the corner of the backside. The flash is perfect, but unfortunately it's going to blind Deathmaker as well, and it's going to completely find Eccles, and Excali will sweep things out.
Yeah, exactly. Eccles was just waiting, looking at the radar. As soon as Deathmaker showed something to him, that's when the flash would go off. And yeah, these flashes from Eccles, they are so annoying to deal with, man.
The timing on those flashes.
Exactly. This seems like a sentence that even Deathmaker might say, but because everybody on the opponent team is dying, I guess it's fine.
Even Deathmaker did not expect the flash timing. That's how perfect it was. His own teammate.
Exactly, and that tells you how little chance his enemies have of dodging it.
But I mean, once again, the call out should have been made there, I guess, that, hey, play the anti-flash positioning on the flash now. And I guess the call out wasn't made, but as long as you were getting the pistol round secured in the hand, that's all that matters. As long as you were kicking things off well on the second half of the pistol round, things are going to be looking pretty good. Nothing taken away from MLT, though. They've still got another chance to try and pull this round off. They are on a complete eco, of course, so the weapons advantage is not there. It shouldn't be that difficult, and as soon as I say that, Bad Love manages to pop off. He finds the first kill in the hand.
Whoa.
The second kill will be claimed by Rio, but he does not expect the lurk in the back.
Yeah, and if Rio had a bigger gun, this could have been a big problem, you know? Velocity, even in the past against teams like Godlike, have shown this weakness. Whenever they try to go all towards A long without sending anybody sewers, they often struggle to clear out the short region. And this is the problem that they faced against Godlike as well. If Militant are somehow able to turn this area into their stronghold, then Velocity will have a major red flag to deal with.
I want to see that watch party cam again. There's like a little kid in the front in the sofa, and he's just eating, and he's having a good time. He's eating so quickly, it's fun to watch him. But yeah, a quick burst on the seaside this time. VLT now wasting a lot of time, of course. Bad Love, though, he's able to capitalize and shut down the man who was in the front. Deathmaker decapitated, and now it's the rest of the VLT to go.
Oh, but VLT are so quick to fall back. As soon as they realize that MLT Esports have bigger guns, Velocity don't want to take any chances. I guess they're going to probably try to attack some areas like either garage or a short, because in those places, even your smaller guns can make up for the range and go up against the Phantoms and Vandals.
This round is really important for MLT. They will be able to get it in the hands, of course, considering the opponents don't really have the guns advantage, but they also need to make sure that they're not dropping a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
Because they've got the Vandals and the Phantom. They've got some expensive weaponry on the board. And the more guns they lose inside this round, the upcoming round's going to be even tougher. So they got to make sure it has to be a flawless round. Venka pops a dash, finds the first. He will be able to sneak away, but no, it's going to be the answer. The trader was there completely well.
30 seconds left.
The recon dart being utilized as well, but Hellfighter, luckily enough, it doesn't get scanned, and at the last moment he does. Stuns all the way on his way. And now Eccles in the back lines. They still haven't really got the plant down.
Well, plant or no plant, the
One enemy
defuse
remaining.
seems inevitable. The kills that Militant Esports are getting are incredible. And with this, they finally get some steam. They finally start the ball to roll, and Militant Esports, at this point, their economic momentum can start building up. Velocity, of course, can buy in the next round, so there will be resistance. But so far, it seems fine.
Indeed it does. I mean, they lost out on 2 guns, but I guess they should have the economy to at least go for light armor and maybe a Vandal once again. But yeah, we're seeing a judge being pulled out of Venka. I guess his intentions are to play it right on the faces of the opponents, but no, it's being sold at the last second. He's going to go for the Vandal once again. But a judge play would have been interesting if they're able to read out the opponents perfectly, and if the judge positioned at the right moment, at the right time, things would be decimated. VLT slowly and steadily creeping and crawling their way towards C-Long. Drone utilized, Deathmaker followed up with the Drone in the back. Deathmaker's position given away. Rolling Thunder being used as well to get the site control in the hand. And they do so! Badman! A quick shot on Deathmaker's dome. Deathmaker decapitated.
Spike planted.
Yeah, now that the big gun has been dealt with, they need to deal with the other forces too. Doma has already deployed his nanoswarm, so he just needs to stay alive and buy some time. But Doma, instead of doing that, he's taking the pointy end of the spear towards Garage, and things are starting to get crunched for Militant Esports. It's all down to Rio. And he's figured out where Excali is, but he doesn't know where Eccles is yet. Needs to clear out all the angles, needs to be extremely careful, and they almost walk past each other. But Excali's there to save the day.
Perfect trade. The timing, though. VLT.
Yeah.
I like how they play off of each other, especially as you mentioned. Eccles' utilities are always on the point. He's able to find that sweet timing every single time. He's able to connect those shots as well. And as long as your aim's on the point, that's all that's going to matter. Look at these flashes. They're so beautiful. Look at this one. Manages to blind all three of them that are in the backside. Eccles' utility utilization has been one of the best so far inside this game. And now MLT being forced on an eco, so problems are going to be added on a little bit too much. VLT, they've got double digits on the board, 10-6. MLT, they need this round desperately in their hands. But with only sheriffs in the hand, it's going to add on the difficulty level a little bit more. Still, they're trying to play quite disciplined. VLT, on the other hand, they're taking their sweet time. They let the silence speak for itself. Venka moving it forward, getting close and up personal. And he will manage to find one, but Deathmaker is sitting there expecting a flank.
It's quite a weird push from him too. The recon dot that was sent ahead by Rio did not reveal anything, and Wenka found it to be a bit too sus. So he explores it by himself, and sure, he gets killed, but he pays for it with his own life. And now Rio's getting stunned up. There's no backup available for him. The best that he can do is get a couple of kills and hope that he can deal enough damage, soften up the targets for Knight Rider to follow up, but there is no follow-up. Excali and Eccles, they deal with all the defenders, and Velocity are running towards the hills, man. They're running in towards the next map with all the rounds on board.
One more round to go for match point, ladies and gentlemen. Velocity with 11 points on the board, or 11 rounds on the board. Venka has finally managed to get his hands on the operator. And now if Venka's able to pop off, I guess we can see that impact play that we're waiting for Venka. And speaking about Venka inside this matchup, he hasn't been there. I mean, he is fragging out, of course, but he isn't fragging out of his mind. The Venka that we know, he isn't able to perform yet.
Oh, there you go. The moment you say that Wenka isn't performing, it's his chance to dash inside. Let's see if he's gonna be arriving here on time or not. Seems like he's a little late to the party, and Militant have already lost out on the A side, so this might just be a call to save. And
wow,
it is.
They're really gonna play off of that match point, huh?
It's a difficult decision, but they have to take it.
It's a really tough decision to make it. They're that confident inside the guns that they're managing to save.
No,
they're going for.
I don't think they're
6 rounds.
confident. It's more along the lines of they're desperate to have something in the next round. Because Knight Rider and Rio won't have anything to purchase. They'll probably have to purchase Spectres and Stingers and whatnot to make up for the firepower that the remaining Vandals have.
But these side takes have been really impressive. Keep this thing in mind, ladies and gentlemen. This is the map pick of VLT. And MLT so far, I'm not going to say, I feel like, I'm not going to lie, I feel like MLT, they're giving quite a tough fight. Yeah, the garage angle isn't really being checked, and Excali was able to shut down Bad Love, but Bad Man, I guess that was a little bait from Bad Man, huh?
Bad Love and Bad Man do the bait. Wow, these tongue twisters just form themselves, man.
It's interesting, right? You've got two players named pretty much the same, right? Bad Love and Bad Man. I guess it's Bad Man's Bad Love.
And they're both having a bad game. They're not performing as well as they should. Bad Love usually is an absolute beast, but today he's being suppressed by Velocity in all sorts of gruesome ways.
Pretty much. Velocity, though. I just love how VLT likes to play these mind games. They don't even give any sort of foot kills away. No information to work off of for him. As opponent, how are you supposed to find out where VLT are? It's next to impossible to find out. You have no piece of util. You have no piece of information.
Yeah, unless you send in those recon dots, and Rio, even though he's been using that util, Velocity have been dodging it. Luckily, Militant have 4 ultimates this round, so maybe they can make something work. But if Doma and Hellfighter start killing everybody before the ultimates can be deployed, then you really can't do much about it. Vandal now trapped, cornered away. It's only Knight Rider who can save him, and he's only good for 1. And that's all she wrote for him. Rio trapped in a near impossible situation. The lockdown thrown at him for good measure. And if that's not enough, everybody's just rushing him down.
I guess that save was for nothing then.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, the first map is claimed by VLT. It was the map pick of VLT2. Haven being claimed. Now we're going to move on forward towards Pearl. That will be the second map. And of course, it's going to be the map pick of MLT Esports. So we're going to expect MLT to dominate in that map. But once again, with the way MLT was playing in their attacking half, it felt like they've definitely done a lot of research. But that research this time, it didn't really work out. It's like when you know you have done the research, but you don't know what exactly to do with that research.
That sounds like me in every single exam I've written.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the similar type of scenario MLT are facing right now. Crips, you've got some sort of tips for them?
I unfortunately do not. They're gonna have to figure this one out on their own. Up next is Pearl, and hopefully they can do something good on it.
Hopefully they can, and I'm pretty sure they will be able to do so. I mean, it's their map. They are going to be looking comfortable. They will probably feel at home. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to push to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Can't feel my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Making dreams come true and memories happier.
I know my destiny.
Welcome back to Valorant Challenger South Asia as we move on forward towards Pearl, but before that, we'll need to take a look at the Agent Select and find out how it's going to be looking like. The first map was lost by MLT, but now this is the map pick of MLT as we do move on forward towards the Agent Select. It's gonna be quite important.
I'm expecting either a KO or a Sky from Eccles. Oh yeah, there you go. KO selected. I don't think Excali is going to be playing the Sova over here. He might switch up something. It's a fade. Okay. So one character that can scan and the other character that can get like general regional information. That's quite impressive.
Oh, Harbor Viper composition though.
Let's
on
go.
the opposite side. Nice. Let's see how they are going to be utilizing it. I mean, we are seeing Harbor Viper composition a lot of those times, especially Reckoning Esports. I feel like is one of those teams that is really well known for this composition inside VCSA. But even then, there's a lot more to that composition. It can be used in many other ways, but I just feel like VCSA, we haven't really seen those other ways. Hopefully, MLT is going to be that team who will introduce those new ways in VCSA.
You gotta keep one thing in mind, man. The last time Militant Esports used this Harbor Viper composition against God's Reign, they lost 13-2. So, yeah, they better bring their A game. They better fix their mistakes because Velocity can punish them harder than God's Reign.
That's true. And when God's Reign and VLT matchup happened, even though VLT didn't really have a lot of time to practice, they defeated God's Reign. So I guess you can, at least for now, you can say that VLT is supreme than God's Reign. And if VLT brings better things on table than God's Reign, then I guess MLT, they definitely need to be a little bit more prepared against this sort of an opponent. But VLT on the defending side and MLT on the attacking side, they've got the arts control so far. A side is to take the Harbor Wall as well. It's going to be utilized. The side control is going to be taken away from MLT. Things are looking quite good for now. Venka pushed up really close. And he's going to let the wall do the talking for now. It's not going to overextend because there's way too many players in the front. Venka's got no clue how many players are waiting for him. As soon as he peeks out, the trade's going to be there on the point from VLT though. Excali managed to shut his opponent down, but a lot of shots missed from Doma.
That's quite uncharacteristic of Duma. He doesn't usually miss shots like these, but Excali is going it to half.
One enemy
Eccles
remaining.
protects him. Badman steps up,
Standing.
and the frenzies continue the spray down. Oh, that was close,
Good
dude.
round. Yeah. A really close, but still a good round considering how they recovered. Initially, it felt like MLT, they were really just crumbling down on the post plant, but still the recovery was pretty solid from them. But once again, if Doma didn't really whiff his shots on the opponent's guy, and if Doma was alive in that moment, things could have been way different. He could have used his utilities or maybe the turret as well to try and bring something more to the table. Yeah, it was taken down early off, but we'll be able to recover it. And you've got some technical timeouts on the board.
Well, this is a good chance to talk about what the previous round entailed and how much value this harbor creates for your team. You see, when the Cascade was used by Badman from A main, but he sent it towards Art instead, what it basically did is forced every Velocity member to either fall back towards the site or play without the backup of their A-Link players, which effectively destroys the crossfire. The A-Link player can still peek, but the guy who's holding Art from the tall box cannot. So that's what the Cascade is used for by most teams. It's used to move deeper into the map and gather that control without actually having to fight, and that's the biggest strength of a harbor. Even when that Cascade was used up, Badman used the High Tide, and he used it to cover both Secret as well as Flower. And with that, basically, Militant got the A site for free. They were able to plant, and those 5v5 retakes are always precarious. So if Velocity really want to stop this harbor from wreaking havoc, they will have to disrespect the utility of Batman, play ahead of it, or maybe go for those early contacts before Batman can even deploy that water.
I mean, still it's just a pistol round, right? And I guess in pistol rounds, there's a high chance that VLT were probably like, all right, let's not disrespect the utilities. Let's just try and stack up for now. And as we all stack up and gather together, let's try to burst together on the site. It's a whole other story that burst didn't really work out. There were a couple of whiffs as well from VLT, which add on to it. But once again, it's just the first round. Still a lot more to explore from VLT. And it's a complete stack on the B site. VLT. Good way to predict what's going to be executed from MLT, though. They've got the marshals on the board. And Rio is trying to scan out with the Trailblazer. He hasn't found anyone up close and personal, so MLT now will start a stroll up and forward. Slowly and steadily making their way in. The orb was claimed as well. And MLT, they're trying their best to not make any sort of sounds.
Yeah, but that's the problem about having a Sky on the attacking side like this. Even if you gather a little bit of information, you can't figure out how many are there. And now that Velocity have revealed their ugly truth, their ugly colors, it's too late. Militant Esports can't fall back because the spike's already dropped. And all the Velocity members just crunch the spike. Knight Rider will have to deliver some crisp, lean shots to dig it out.
That's a Thrifty being pulled off. One of the most impressive rounds so far. And they played off of each other so well, Crips. Just the classics in the hands. And they managed to rink the opponent's heads. That's some good stuff. Look at Hellfighter staying calm and composed. You talk about composure is necessary as a pro player. Hellfighter is an example of that. These guys are playing Truth or Dare, I guess. We talked about this, right? What if the bottle lands on the guy who's got a nade in the hand? Pretty much just blow everyone up.
It's a
Yeah,
rule.
it's just
He has
gonna
to throw
blow
it.
everyone up. And it's gonna conclude Truth or Dare. But VLT, we talked about this, where MLT will try to go for the double doors control, and they're trying to do so. But unfortunately, MLT, they don't really have the type of weaponries they need to take the double doors control. Just a sheriff in the hand. If they're able to find some nice crispy shots, then maybe things can be turned over, flipped over. Alarm bot spotted, taken down easily. MLT going for the arts control. The presence is definitely known. Badman waiting for a lurk from double doors. Now I don't think so. There's going to be a lurk anytime soon. Playing this one safe and sound.
Yeah. Breaking the alarm bot really doesn't phase Velocity Gaming. They didn't make any moves whatsoever.
Yeah.
Only now has Echo started to rotate towards the A side, and even then, he's not doing it to guard A, he's just making sure that nobody sneaks in towards water. So they're more than comfortable giving away the control of mid connector as well as Link to Militant Esports, because
30 seconds
even
left.
though they have all this control, they can't really use it to execute onto the site.
They got the mid-con control, and this is exactly what I said, Crips. If they do want to add on that surprise element through the double doors, they will need to take the mid-con control through arcs. And that's what they exactly did, but unfortunately, it's going to be a complete meltdown. And flawless round from VLT. Opponents were on an eco as expected. It's going to be a meltdown, but the map of Pearl is the pick of the opponents, and you guys are going to get thrifty, so that's a huge bummer. And now you guys also lost the upcoming round. You guys will have the weaponry in hands, but VLT, they have already got a lot of confidence.
And they have always been confident, man. Velocity are the kind of team that always moves fearlessly. Let's speak about moves now. Velocity this time, instead of going for those fearless moves, are actually playing it nice and safe. There's a little aggression towards A main, but I guess they won't overextend on that too. Not unless they figured out that most of Militant is towards the B side.
Aggression's massive, and that aggression's going to confirm that the A side's not going to be the take. And now those two players start to fall back as well. Deathmaker and Eccles making their way towards the B side. High Tide was utilized to make some way on the site. Venka pushing all the way towards Elpo. Elpo and his team secure the entire site control. And now VLT, they're going to play off of this retake. They've got every single player on the board. Venka manages to find a good opening against Excali. A big threat neutralized. And now VLT, they're down to 4 and 5. 4 men left over. Deathmaker on top of Heaven. Looking to find out some skulls. He's looking to find the equalizer. They spot out the man in the front, but VLT, as they start to move on forward like a unit, they're managing to stack it. They're managing to stack these kills up on top of each other. Knight Rider with the flank from double doors. He will be caught.
And you can see how that null command really just throws Militant Esports off guard. They were hoping that the suppressive utility from Badman would keep Velocity at bay for a little longer. And since all that utility was already used up, the Killjoy utility is what they needed to depend on. That can't be activated. The snake bites can't be used. So there's literally no utility left for Militant Esports that they can throw onto the spike and delay the defuse. They have to then defend the spike with their own bodies, which means picking up fights, and Velocity were looking forward to fight.
Retake was just done really well, I guess.
Get out of my
They
way.
moved in as a unit, they burst in together. And the biggest upper hand that Velocity has over any of their team is that quick burst and that unexpected timing
There.
on that burst. Be it whatever map, you will always find that burst on the perfect time if you want to. Excali disrespecting that Viper wall, pushing up forward, getting Venka in his hands. Venka, a big threat shut down, and now MLT. They're gonna fall on top of their faces. 4 players left over with Sheriffs and Spectres and a Marshal in the hand. Seems like next to impossible task. Deathmaker whiffs the first shot. MLT, they get a little bit of more territory in their hands so far. But they haven't really got the map control. That is quite essential.
Yeah, it seems like one of those rounds where Velocity will have no choice but to play it a little more passively. Deathmaker, you can see he wants to peek ahead of the high tide, and he wanted to dash back, but Bad Love stops him in his tracks. The path cleared for
Good
Militant,
shot.
and they can now go for the plant safely under the protection of the cove.
Impressive plays from the opponents, MLT. They've managed to equalize the entire man number that they had. And now it's a 4-on-4, but still the weapons advantage is in the hands of VLT, and they're going to work off of that. Flashes, of course, it's going to be a little team flash, but it's not going to cost them their life, so that's completely fine. The Cosmic Divide is working against MLT so well, and it's going to add on the cherry on top of the cake. So far, MLT, they're really struggling, but the snake bites are perfect from Bad Love, but the flank from Hellfighter wasn't expected. Getting both of those players who were playing on the post plant, and now it's all down to Rio. Trailblazer utilized, it's being canceled out, and VLT, another round on the board.
That Cosmic Divide really just made things difficult for Militant Esports. The 2 people who managed to go in towards A main, they knew for a fact that they will be irrelevant in this round. And the only person who could have saved them was this guy playing towards Art. And even then, there were smokes placed down to make sure that no flashes can be thrown across. Basically, Rio's position undone. Knight Rider and Bad Love can't do much because of the Cosmic Divide. 3 players of Militant Esports cut out of the action. And that's how Velocity Gaming can isolate and exterminate.
Yeah, these guys is harbor utilities even from MLT, and that Cosmic Divide. And overall, the way the controller roles being played from both the sides is just really impressive. They're managing to cut out the opponent's sight line so well. I mean, it's up to VLT if they do want to disrespect the Harbor and the Viper utility. But still, disrespecting comes at a risk. You never know how many opponents are standing on the other side and who's waiting for you. The activation on the Nano Swarm was just perfect. Venka's gonna updraft and dash forward. Hellfighter's able to spot out Venka. A good way to open things up. And once again, the Harbor Wall's gonna go on place. The spike plant goes down as well. And VLT, they've got the rotation on the point, but still they're waiting to burst in like unit.
Ooh, Velocity do burst in on the back of that Nightfall. It pushes almost everybody out of the Viper's pit. But will they be able to clear this Viper's pit? All the Prowlers are being used by Excali, hoping to figure out who's hiding inside over there. But because the Viper's been out of it for so long, they will need to now tap the fight and challenge, hoping that the snake bites don't boil them down and kill them. There's barely any sight lines. Velocity Gaming have to push the envelope. They have to take the fight to MLT. There's no other choice. And Badman, he's protecting the Viper, but Bad Love goes down, and so do the rest of Militant Esports. Velocity make this look easy.
They indeed do. The defuse was being stuck when there was a complete chaos being unfolded on the site. Velocity Gaming, another impressive round on the board. And you can see even in the watch party. I mean, the watch party isn't really even having a lot of expressions, right? They're just sitting there watching the game, I guess, and having a good time. We're not really seeing a lot of expressions on anyone's faces. It's like a matchup where it feels like everyone's expecting VLT to dominate.
And dominate they are. I mean, they're nothing short of a force to be reckoned with.
Indeed.
Speaking of force to be reckoned, the Reckoning is now available for Batman.
Here.
Let's see if he can use it.
I'll say it. Let's see how he uses it. Because at this
Oh, yeah.
point in time, MLT, they're getting the side controls in the hand easily, but they're not really able to sustain that side control. They're not really able to play off of that post plan. Deathmaker being traded out, that's a good trade from them. And now we're balled down to 4-4. MLT, once again, the problem is, wherever they decide to go, they're losing out these players, and they cannot afford to do so. They are getting the side control every single round, but they're not able to sustain that side control in the hand. The post plants are looking really weak from them. And VLT, they always push in and work together as a team. Crips, I had a question for you. Do you know the full form of KO?
Kill all your opponents?
You know that. Let's go. Dude.
I do my little research.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Kill
30
all your
seconds
opponents.
left.
I like that.
And
But-
that's what Eccles believes in, firmly. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
oh,
Did
oh,
they
the
just walk
timing!
past each other?
Yeah, they did! The timing is so bad! Oh, Bad Love, he's got no clue that Hellfighter's in the back, and Hellfighter's no clue that there's someone sneaked in on the A site. The lurk is
10
now
seconds
activated. Viper's all the way back on the A, but now the problem is that even they have no clue that there's a flank coming in to them. So
Exactly,
Hellfighter
but
might
at
just
least-
have a huge advantage.
At least Badlove has heard Hellfighter move, so that information will be relayed, but Badlove's position is completely unknown, and he catches Eccles off guard. Excali, he's been stunned by the Reckoning. Timing missed by
One
Badlove,
enemy
but the fact
remaining.
that he managed to pull them away from heaven is good enough. It's all down to Hellfighter now. 1v3 on his hands, and he knows only the position of Badlove. The rest of them yet to be discovered, and they're just jiggling around him. What a moment!
Bad Love heard him?
Yeah. Hellfighter started moving fast. Hellfighter was the one to break sound first. He started sprinting towards the attacking spawn. And Battler was still walking. So he continued to walk until he reached the default box of a site, and only then did he start to run. And by that time, Hellfighter was well within, Hellfighter was well out of audio range.
So you're saying MLT knew that there was a flank in the back?
Yes, MLT knew there was a flank in the back, but Velocity did not. Because both of them, they walked past each other, but Hellfighter started to run before Badlove did. So Hellfighter's position was given away, but Badlove continued to walk with Badlove continued to walk until he was outside of the audio range of Hellfighter. So yeah, that's how it happens. But this time though, it doesn't matter what the backstab is. Eccles wants to push in from the front, and Excali's already there.
Got one.
Aggression's on the point, and Eccles gets caught off guard with hands busy. Try to throw in a fragment, try to deny the push, but now we're down to a 2-on-2. VLT, whenever the situation's down to an equalizer, these guys play it off of each other. Especially when it's just a 2-on-2 scenario, these guys will try to regroup towards each other and then play together. That's the way VLT likes to play. Classic VLT, VLT 101, whatever you guys want to call it. But you can see where both of them are playing. Look at Hellfighter. He's playing towards mid-con, and look at Doma. He's watching double doors. These guys are playing off of each other, playing like a well tight-knit unit. On the other hand, even MLT, they're doing the same thing. The only difference is that
30
MLT needs
seconds
side
left.
control in the hand.
At least they've got plenty of time to clear out all these areas. And plenty of utility available on both Badman as well as Knight Rider does give them an edge. But Badman doesn't deploy any of that utility. He goes deeper into it, the site, and he tries to make this contact play of sorts work.
Spike planted.
And then instead of going back towards A main after putting the nano swarms, both these players opt to play towards secret. This is interesting. Most teams will only try to play towards secret when there's a massive disadvantage or when they're desperate. But now that the odds are equalized, they still opt to play over here. This is indeed a bit weird. Let's hope Velocity are ready for this.
Yeah, both of them are in the back lines towards
player
Flower. The
standing.
first man, the shot's whiffed. Badman. He's going to be kicking his head after this one. And now Knight Rider, he managed to take down one, but the trade's there perfectly. Badman, if he did not whiff his shots on the first opponent, this could have been the clutch that MLT really desperately needed. But that one single moment messed up, it cost it in that round. And then VLT, we all know their trade game's one of the strongest so far inside VCSA, so you can always expect him to trade things out. But MLT, of course, a valiant effort.
One enemy remaining.
And it is indeed a very interesting choice that MLT Esports made over there. Most teams will only play the secret position if they are at a disadvantage, like a 3v5 or a 3v4. And the reason they do that is because the defenders, with their superior numbers, can easily cut off the attackers if they opt to play towards a position like a main. But because this was a 2v2, they could have easily just put the nano swarms and then just play on the back of it instead of playing for contacting a secret. So, a brave decision by MLT, but a rather unnecessary one. This time, look at the aggression from Velocity, though. They've already reached the tip of attacking spawn. Rio better be prepared for this.
Oh my god. A surprise on the face. And Rio being stunned out and taken out the game. There's 3 players on the A side, from which 2 of them are still on the main. Good flash from Eccles to try and suppress his opponents for as long as possible. And Echo was being shut down. Excali from the back line is always there with the trades and 2 more to go. Bad Love and Badman all the way towards the B side. Slowly and steadily walking in. The cascade will go in as well for them to add some sort of a visual denial. It's being used perfectly as well. Badman will go for the plant.
Spike planted.
But pulling this round off sounds an impossible task.
Yeah, you see, now that Militant have a clear disadvantage, it makes sense for them to play aggressively. But in situations like these is when they opt to play in a very passive situation, you know? And from these positions, sure, a little bit of crossfire can be established between Batman and Bad Love, but the lockdown will force them out of their positions. Bad Love has no choice. He has to make a move, and he does! Oh my god! He may not win the round, ladies and gentlemen, but he will definitely win your heart.
That's a prime example of a perfect crosshair placement. Expecting a wide swing, and then just tracing their heads with the sheriffs. Perfectly done, nicely played from Bad Love, but unfortunately a bit too many opponents for him to handle. And VLT, once again, they win another round off of the trade games. Knight Rider, that was a good opening being found, but unfortunately enough, his teammates weren't really able to help him out with the backup soon enough.
Sheesh.
And Excali was there to help his teammate out with the backup. VLT, what matters for them is that they won the round. It's not going to matter how many players died. It's not going to matter how many guns were lost, because they're looking pretty fine when it comes to the economical side of the game.
But if he did manage to hit that 4th shot, this would have, hands down, been the most impressive clutch in not just WCSA, but the entirety of South Asian Valorant history. Hands down. But alas, we were just a little too close to greatness. Within touching distance, but we can't get there. Not yet. I'm sure we can expect better things from Bad Love in the future, even greater things than he's delivered now.
Maybe an ace through the walls, I guess, without even seeing your opponents.
Oh, that would be nuts, dude.
I guess that's the only way you can try to surpass that play. But all the players now just falling back towards the B site. MLT, at this point in time, they're just starting to second guess themselves, because whatever they're trying to bring to the table is just not working out. And now MLT, they're just trying to find any sort of strategy that's left over in their arsenal to pull off this attacking side. I mean, it is their map pick, but VLT, they're starting to run away with a huge lead. 7-2 is the scoreline.
30
For
seconds
MLT
left.
to make it 7-5 to have any sort of a second chance in the upcoming half, it sounds quite tough. Not just quite tough, it sounds really tough. With the Cove, Rio will get the plant down, but still is not going for the Seeker's commitment. The Vipers Pete utilized as well. They've got a lot of ultimates that they can play off of. Still, Seekers are not used. I'm pretty sure the Seekers will only be used when things will get a little bit too grim for them. Nightfall was used. In the backlines is Badman, and now he's got way too many opponents approaching him. Rio does manage to find the first one, but BLT, they're always up with their trades. The third one gets taken down as well. Eccles inside the Viper's pit. He's like man on roll. Deathmaker was able to find out too. Doma with the classic manages to connect his shots. But that entire Cosmic Divide was played so perfectly. I highly doubt VLT is even going to have enough time. But they managed to clean out every single player of MLT that stood in their crosshairs. Unfortunately, time was a factor that was quite short from them, but still a solid round from MLT. Nicely done. With the amount of commitments that were committed to that round, it's incredible. But still, VLT, the way they managed to pull off that retake off of that ASTER Cosmic Divide, even that was quite an impressive stuff. just completely cutting off that operator. That operator was deactivated because he was on the B long side. So Knight Rider couldn't even do anything. He couldn't even help his teammates out. All the 4 teammates were on the side, trapped with VLT. Deathmaker with this aggressive push on the mid, pushing out with Eccles. Both these guys are here to try and find out as much as information, as much as value as possible.
Timing.
Venka didn't spot out Deathmaker though.
Yeah. And with that opening frag, Militant Esports now have a lot more room to maneuver around.
Here.
The Toxin Screen cuts off Doma's line of sight. And Militant Esports, being wary of the potential backstab, have left Bad Love to mark that area. Trailblazer should be able to clear out the close angle, but Doma doesn't need any line of sight. He can just spray everyone down. And with the haunt that was thrown by Excali, another freebie lands in his lap. It's all down to Batman. He's getting
Player
double,
standing.
triple peeked even.
Spike down,
It's Doma's
B.
turn to go for the ace. He wants to exact revenge for what Bad Love did to them in the previous round. Can he get it though? Ah, no problem. Deathmaker gets it. It's still impressive.
MLT, I mean, look, at the end of the day, what's going to matter who wins the round? And I think so it's going to be a 9-3 half. If there are some superstitious people in the chat who do believe in the curse, let's see if the curse is going to come true or not in the second half. But this shot from Doma, the RNG just working out completely fine in this man's favor. Doma popped off in that round. He indeed did.
Spike down.
And the
the
timing of that
4K.
haunt.
Yeah.
Timing of that haunt was also very impressive from Excali. Allows Doma to get a second one, and then a third one just comes out of his own sheer will, his own capability. This is the same cascade that Militant used in the pistol round. The only difference is they've now got the reckoning to gear up along with it. A nice high tide basically cuts off Velocity's line of sight.
Oh my.
And as Eccles tries to hold a Ling, Knight Rider pushes deep inside and
Spike
challenges
planted.
him. This forces Excali to stay near water. He now can't help his teammates out to a
Wow.
secret off flower pot.
The random spam finds Badman too.
Coming back.
That is just so unlucky for Badman. And this was sort of a broken buy coming in from MLT Esports, and this flank is not being expected as well. What are MLT Esports doing? How are you guys not expecting this flank for the back lines? And Deathmaker cleanly manages to shut down every single player of MLT. And now the final man still up and alive. It's going to be in the name of Venka. Deathmaker really wants to name this kill upon himself, and he does. Another 4K on the board.
Yeah. He just makes it look easy now, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Lockdown
but
forces
I
them
feel
back
like
to...
that's just the presence of mind lacking from MLT. You should
Yo.
be expecting that flank. It's not the first time you guys have been flanked from the back, but what is this?
Who's
Hey, yo,
that?
I like his costume.
Is he the new Velocity mascot, or is he just some
Nah,
random
I heard he's
dude in a
the
costume at the bar?
playing seventh, bro. I heard he's the playing seventh. I heard like he's the best player in Valorant. The only reason why he's sitting out is because if he starts playing, it'll be unfair for the opponent. So that's why he's just sitting out.
Yeah,
I guess.
also it would be really
Yeah.
difficult to find mice that fit the size of
Yeah.
his big bare hands, you know?
Exactly. Imagine how difficult it would be to read him in a game. Like, he'll be unpredictable, man. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the first half. It's a 9-3 half, as I said. If there are some superstitious people in the chat, let us know if you guys think this 9-3 curse will be coming in or not. But it's time for us to push to a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Came for my wins, I need my ends. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Came for my wins, I need my ends. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I get it in.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the store. As you guys can see in front of you, I don't exactly know how to buy all the components that are available in the store, but is that a Raisinade?
I don't get what it is. I am not gonna spend any more of my money on merch. I've already spent way too much.
Wait, you have
Way
some?
too
You might
much.
as well give me some, man. Why don't you?
Oh, yeah, of
I've
course.
got none. I've got none, bro.
Aw. Alright, then something to look forward to the next time we show up at the VCSA LAN. But for now, Velocity Gaming are looking forward to this B hit, which seems relatively defenseless. It's only Knight Rider, and he can't face them all on his own, so he has to give it up. He has to wait for his teammates to arrive, who are already on the flank.
Spike planted.
Oh wow, nice shot. Venka too cold. Indeed, he's looking too cold, at least inside the second half. He's managed to open the fray up with quite a lot of beautiful shots, and unfortunately, man wasn't able to fall back to
Player
safety
standing.
quickly enough. Deathmaker still up and alive on the site. It's a 1-on-3 situation with a frenzy in the hand. It will be a little difficult to connect those shots in the long range, and Deathmaker is definitely now starting to struggle. Rio is quite low, but Deathmaker, he's just playing with his food, manages to find the diffuser. Will he get the second one as well? No is going to be the answer. Venka will shut him down.
Yeah, dude, Militant Esports, they're moving quickly towards the back lines. They move fearlessly even after they see Doma watching the flank. They throw in a Trailblazer towards him, and then everybody just nosedives in. Great stuff from Militant Esports. Good way to make sure that Velocity can't really take up the ramp area as post plants, which forces them to then play towards either heaven or towards back halls. Both of which are decent enough post-plant positions, but in a situation like that, Deathmaker, who was already on his way upstairs, was not there in time to back his teammates up. And it just happens to be the luck of the draw that he is away when his team needs him. Otherwise, he's almost always on point, almost always there to provide backup. Not this time, though. Velocity still go for the Sheriff's force. Let's see if these Sheriffs can take some heads off.
Speak about the Sheriffs, and I mean, VLT, they do have a guns disadvantage, but would you really call it a disadvantage when the Sheriff's being held by someone who's going to connect those headshots no matter what?
Nah.
That's a good question. But this time, they do manage to get the site control. I talked about hitting the heads, but this time, Venka is the one stealing the trophy. He manages to deactivate the push all by himself with a 3K.
Although Militant Esports win this round and they keep it clean, there is a silver lining. Velocity have now figured out what the setups of Militant Esports look like. They figured out that Art, if remained undefended, then most of the players of Militant are going to be towards A main, and the A Link player comes in a little late. If Velocity use this information later on in a buy round, it will help them by a lot. But let's see if they can actually put this to use.
5-9. I guess the believers in the chat really will need to start believing now if Venka start to pop off like this. And it just feels like Venka is now looking a little bit more confident. Venka's probably taking matters in his hands, and now he's starting to pop off on the individual skill level. If you remember, we talked about this too, Crips. When things really don't work out, Venka starts to pop off on his individual mechanism, on his individual mechanical skills. And so far, in the first 2 rounds, he's done it perfectly fine. With the flank in the pistol round, he was able to find out value. On the A side as well with the Guardian, he found out value. This man single-handedly is able to shut down the opponents, and now also pops the Blade Storm. Once again, he's going to go for the dry peaks. Not able to do much, but with this Guardian, this man has been such a chaos maker.
Deathmaker left to his own devices, and Knight Rider can run and gun him down. In the previous game, we saw... I'm not talking about the previous map, I'm talking about the previous match that Militant Esports had. We saw how Venka started to solo peek on his own because his team was getting desperate. And he did that because his teammates were still telling him to not peek, but he did so regardless because he felt compelled to make moves. But this round is different. Even though Venka pops off, he does it within the realms of his teammates' vicinity. He doesn't overextend, he doesn't go to a place where his teammates can't back him up, and that is a major improvement from him individually. He's always been the chaos maker, he's always been a very talented aimer, but if he stays within the possibilities of his teammates' area of control, then things really start to look up.
Deathmaker Here we go. A bird in the sky.
Plant the spike.
Will he be popped? That was going to be the answer. He lands safely. On the side control is given away. Velocity. They will manage to go for the plan as well. Bad men pushed up the high tide in the front, but the high tide wasn't really able to do a lot. MLT, on the other hand, they're able to bounce back with 3 of their own. I mean, it is an eco round for the side of VLT. They've still managed to deal out quite a lot of damage. Last man to go. Eccles with a sheriff in the hand. He managed to find a dink. He's only having 18 HP. All he needs to do is connect 1 sheriff bullet on the opponent, and the deal will be sealed. And Knight Rider sneaking in an unexpected angle, but this time Eccles clutches it out with only a sheriff in the hand. A huge thrifty round from VLT.
Yeah, dude, both of them were really just one shot, and the reflexes on Eccles deemed superior this round. It's also quite interesting that MLT Esports aim to play this retake before the spike is even planted. They all just basically threw themselves ahead of the VLT smokes, which is kind of what VLT wanted, you know? If Militant fight at range, then the Vandals will be able to reign supreme over the Sheriff somewhat, but at that close range, the Sheriffs are just as deadly. And Velocity wanted to pick up those close range fights. Militant offered it to them without hesitating. I understand why Militant really just wanted to surprise Velocity Gaming. They didn't want them to get comfortable after the spike plant, but yeah, it seems like Velocity were always prepared for the fights, and Duma always is ready. His gloves are always off, his hands always ready to press someone's head.
And once again, VLT, they just fall back to the B site. Everyone's now going to start to stack up over here. The first one was found, but with an instant trade, that's being denied as well. They're down on a 3-on-4 scenario. VLT having the man advantage back in their hands, and things are around looking really fine for them. Cosmic Divide was utilized to block off the vision. Oh no, not the Cosmic Divide. The smokes were utilized to block off the visions, but VLT, once again, a clean stroll on the site.
Here.
Militant need to somehow break these crossfires. The Snakebite will make sure Deathmaker can't peek out of the first right-hand side of back halls, so that forces Eccles and Deathmaker to play from somewhat the same angle.
Here.
But after it expires, he's back over here, and it's really difficult to push him away from this position. Badlove has it all to do, and Deathmaker isn't giving him anything to work with. As soon as he peeks wider, all 3 of them, Excali, Helef, and Eccles, are ready to peek him down, so this seems like a done and dusted round.
Yeah.
Badlove, despite his instincts wanting him to push onwards, has no choice but to fall back.
That's the 11th round on the board. VLT playing this really well. 10-6, make it 11. Nicely done. A spectacular round. VLT having that man advantage right off the bat to them. And that's why, of course, they looked more confident in the approach towards the B site. It was a 3-on-4, and VLT, they managed to get another easy site take in their hands. And these shots from Eccles, they're really just putting a lot of hurt on MLT. They're not able to find the reply. Imagine peeking out and getting caught with a headshot every single time. That's frustrating.
I know, right? And it's not even like you can blame just the aim for the reason of Militant's loss. Most of them are still playing really well. This time, Velocity challenging hard. There's some weaponry presence of Militant, and they're playing towards the pillar, but the Prowlers force them back.
Here.
This is quite a good Viper wall, though. Badlove hasn't used this very often, so it kind of forces Velocity Gaming to take this whole B-ramp area step by step. Doesn't give them too much room to set up. At least it lets them get close enough to position this lockdown, so now that the site's clear, Velocity can easily go for the plant.
They exactly do so. Oh man, how are they able to find these values with such sort of an extension?
Eccles
It seems...
He threw that flash over the map geometry, which exposed directly into B-Link, and Militant wouldn't have expected that Velocity push out of the range of their own lockdown.
The flash was just so beautiful. And VLT, they're always able to come up with some incredible value, which are not being expected. And how are you not going to check that angle? MLT, They're now just starting to fall off on their faces. Last man to go. Seems next to impossible. And Knight Rider being put to sleep as well. VLT, another round on the board. Make it the map point.
Eccles basically played as a suicide angle. He had absolutely no problem getting detained. He knew for a fact that they wouldn't expect someone to still be there because it would be a ridiculous position to stay in despite the lockdown being planted. So they don't clear it. And partially that cloudburst also helps to cover his position to some extent. And all of a sudden, Velocity find themselves at map point. Militant Esports were desperate to win this game. Keep in mind that if they don't win enough rounds, their position in playoffs will be at risk. Deathmaker playing anti-flash, but there is no flash. They all peek him at the same time. Wenka to gold this time. He is too sneaky.
Indeed he is. Deathmaker being shut down. That's an early pick being found this time. The early man advantage is in the hand of MLT. They decide to push up together. And I guess that's the only way you can try to counter a team like VLT. If you do find that value with the push together, it's always going to work out in your favor. But this time, once again, the trade started to happen back and forth, but in the favor of MLT. It's a 4-on-2 scenario where VLT are now starting to struggle. And look at the amount of map control MLT has. It's insane. VLT that don't even have a lot to play off here. Not a lot of map control. Hellfighter starts to move in from the back lines, and now VLT, they're starting to get their grip back inside the game. How does this even happen?
Yeah, that was such a good attempt from Militant Esports to control mid, but Velocity
left.
Gaming break open that crossfire. And now Militant have no idea. Even though Wenka can get a frag or two, it would be wiser for him to play along with his teammate. He has no choice but to wait for bad love, but what's the point when Hellfighter challenges him head on?
Oh boy, this is the last round too. Bad luck. He has a little bit too much to try and counter. Or to try and play for. He's got the players in front of him. The flank's not being expected. He managed to find one.
Nice.
And the second one gets wrapped up with him. Bad love, with this clutch, keeps his team alive inside this game. But MLT, they already look defeated from their faces.
Yeah, dude, Bad Love has been the shining beacon of hope for Militant Esports. Whether it's that insane Deagle triple kill in the pistol, I'm sorry, not in the pistol, in the in that eco round of sorts, or whether it's this 1v2. Bad Love has been the one who's kept Pearl alive for Militant Esports. But the need to keep doing it again and again. I mean, even after that win, Militant don't have too much money. They're forced to buy light armor, marshals, and specters across the board. Meanwhile, Velocity have everything they need. They have Excali's Nightfall, which can be devastating.
Fighting fire to fire is the only way you can try to do anything against VLT. But this time, once again, MLT, they try to take a back step. No one playing on the aggressive page anymore. All the 4 players stacked up towards the A site.
Face your fear!
The lineup's being executed as well. The lineup's perfect. They used the tether, they used the pull. Batman almost could have been killed with that fragment, but he manages to sneak away at the nick of time. Perfectly done from VLT to get the site control in the hands, and the amount of information this team has gathered. It's crazy. Trailblazer's going to be there, maybe stun out Deathmaker, but the smoke's going to be there on the time as well. And Venka manages to find 2 quick kills with that burst. 2 more to go. Velocity, both the players are trying their best to try and fight for the post plan. Hellfighter trapped on the site. And maybe his position will be given away too. He misses all the shots. And MLT capitalizes.
Oh, there's way too much in front of Eccles. Militant aren't going down like this. This is a very good approach from Militant Esports. They make sure that all the ultimates are avoided. The Nightfall does reduce their HP, and the Seize fragment combination almost claims a couple of extra lives. But with all the utility avoided by Militant Esports, they move fearlessly into the round once again. This time knowing they've got the advantage. They use the Cascade to lock out a main, basically cut off any potential crossfires that Velocity would have been building. And if that wasn't enough, they use a barrage of flashes and the updraft from Wenka to clear out the common angles, to clear out defaults.
Some heavy talking being done from VLT because they're not able to find that cherry on top of the cake. So this tactical timeout is just there to, I guess, get their mental back together and maybe to try and tell them that final momentum breaker for MLT. 12-8, this game is starting to get really up close now. And VLT, they cannot afford to let MLT squeeze out another round from them.
Keep in mind, even though Velocity are close to winning the game over here, every single round that Militant Esports are able to score off of them increases their chances of making it to the playoffs. At this point, Militant Esports are fighting an uphill battle, while having to roll up a massive boulder up that slope. So it's not a battle that they can win, but they can take it close. And as long as they do that, as long as they get enough rounds and stay out of trouble, they should be able to course ahead of the rest of their group members.
Placing swamp grenade.
Oh my god. Futoma almost died over there.
Yeah, it could have been really close. But he managed to somehow stay alive inside the game.
Yeah.
Doma in the first map, he was feeling himself. But in this second map, I mean, he is doing pretty decent for his team, but he's not doing as good as he did in the first map. There's a high chance Doma might just reign MVP as well inside this game, but we'll be able to find that out at the end of this entire series. VLT still playing things really slow. And this time you're just seeing VLT take another route, another approach inside this round. They take the art control. Deathmaker's gonna extend all the way towards mid-connector, being spotted out and shut down instantly by Badman. Third man on his way as well, but Badman's now starting to feel himself. All the three players dropping down in that mid-con. And now that entire area looks like a graveyard. Hellfighter towards the P-Long session, all by himself, trying to make a lurk possible. But it's only two player and a little bit too many players in the opponent's side.
That was a lovely way for Batman to step up. He's been doing really well with his utility so far in this map, but the fragging power was missing. And now he makes up for it with that brilliant triple kill.
Just two more players. And the call is probably being made from VLT to go for a save because now they're starting to struggle with the economy. You can see they don't even have a lot of credits left. Deathmaker with only 350, Excali with only 50 credits in his hands. This has to be an eco round from Velocity. But they've got two Vandals on the board, which they will try to squeeze out the maximum amount of value from.
I like the approach that Velocity had over there. You see that 0 point that echoes through? It's a fairly simple one. It basically just clears out a link, but the way it arches up into the air and falls down so late, it lands at the exact same time that Militant Esports are about to make contact. This time there's a heavy presence towards the double door region. Fragment to make sure that both Knight Rider as well as Batman don't have a line of sight, and the smoke on top of it. More C's is being committed to make sure that they can't peek out. Elevation from Deathmaker doesn't find much, but Battler has to play around this pillar. Venka's available to back him up, and Deathmaker's nice finally start to slice and dice, but Venka is colder than the flames of hell, and it's down to Hellfighter.
I have the spike.
Spike recovered, but there's way too much on his plate. He might just have bitten off a bit more than he can chew. Nobody falls for the fake blunt. He tries to go in for the fight, but Militant are prepared for this one. They see a step ahead.
Wow, Militant. They're really countering VLT now. It seems like they've gotten used to the playing pattern of VLT on the attacking side, and Militant, they're sort of getting the grip inside the game. But one single slip-up can cost him this entire match and this entire series. So Militant, they need to play this map really cautiously. Really cautiously. The upcoming round, they need to make sure they're not even making an inch of a mistake. If they do, all VLT needs is one more round in the hand.
Yeah, Badlov's got the Viper Spit ready. He should use it. You've got the AWP on Venka. He's marking a main and maybe even Art. Badlov can deploy the Viper Spit towards the B side if need be. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be challenged yet. Velocity dumping the util towards double door, but they're not committing just yet. Because Velocity did this in the previous round as well, they expect Militant to play the same setup where basically Knight Rider is playing towards mid-con. But they don't know that Wenka is present over here with the AWP, and this could be a nasty surprise. They dodged the first bullet. And now they have another lifeline.
But at least all the 5 players are up and alive. And at least now they know where the operator was situated as well. So VLT now they can try to get the game plan done off of that. Badlove going for the Viper's Pit. That's a perfect timing on the Viper's Pit too. Not really giving too much. And utilizing the Viper's Pit before any sort of presence is being dealt with as well on the site. Excali's a little bit too low, but Venka manages to find that crucial shot onto Deathmaker. A huge threat neutralized inside the game, and MLT once again, a clean sweep on the site. They're gonna take us to an OT, I guess.
Can Velocity shut this game down right here? If it goes into overtime, all the stress that Dav is feeling is gonna be amplified. There's barely any money left. Velocity will have to put together the pocket lint and scraps in order to purchase weapons this round. Yeah, and you can see the broken buys already. A couple of bulldogs, light armor. There is a glimmer of hope if they can manage to get Doma that one ultimate off. If that happens, then he's gonna have the lockdown prepared. But Wenka, he isn't just cold, he's relentless. No trade possible either, even though there was a gravity well stuck onto him. He made it through.
How does he manage to stay alive? That's actually impressive. Somehow he's alive. Doma's got the lockdown available, and VLT will try to squeeze this round out no matter what. But unfortunately for VLT, they did not expect that operator out on their faces. Doma is going to position himself in that A-main pocket. He's not going to go anywhere. He's going to wait for a flank, if that's going to be there or not. And I guess it's probably going to be a fake too. I guess the lockdown is going to be planted towards the A-long side, and the rest of the team will try to wrap around through the arts area.
Well, this lockdown is being committed, but the spike isn't anywhere close. In fact, it's towards the art region.
Yep.
You have to appreciate the 0 point, though. There's nothing that Knight Rider can do to break it, and he has to relinquish this area every single time. Only Rio is in a position to stop this push.
30 seconds left.
The rest of his teammates aren't anywhere close, so the spike will go down at the very least.
Planted.
And maybe with this, Velocity have a chance to shut things down. Nanoswarms can be used. The Cosmic Divide thrown in for extra measure just to keep Militant at bay. But this is now all gonna come down to timing.
Reckoning being used out to force out the players of VOT from their positions, and the Reckoning's being played really well so far. MLT, they're always able to counter VLT no matter what. And now Velocity Gaming with only Doma left alive, the final glimmer of hope, and even he will not be able to pull off anything. We're going to OT, ladies and gentlemen. What a comeback!
MLT Esports refuse to kick the bucket. They keep on kicking and clawing their way back inside. And every single time Velocity Gaming try to throw a curveball at them, Militant are prepared for this one. It's so dynamic the way these guys play. They don't break the 0 points of Echoes, but they are comfortable being caught in it too. And every single time Velocity are trying to hit the A site, they get the plant, but they can never really fall back to safety. There's always something that Militant can throw at them, which will just negate all the crossfires that Velocity build in the post plants. And the Nanoswarms are not enough to stop the defuse.
Don't overthink it. That's my job.
Now that we head into OT, Militant are going in with a hot winning streak on the defensive side. So if the stats are speaking the truth over here, then Militant just need to win their attacking side round because their defense is already somewhat impenetrable.
So far, it is. VLT haven't been able to find a reply to that defense. And every single time with the way MLT are just playing off of their utility, especially as an example in the previous round, they played off of that Reckoning so well. Used that Reckoning to force out the players, to force the players out of that crossfire so well. And the crossfires were just completely countered with that situation. Hellfighter still goes for the commitment, and he will be put to sleep this time. Overextension, Hellfighter. Now that might just cost the entire team of VLT the round as well. But Militant Esports, they're not going to let it do so. Still, they fall back towards the B-long area. Towards the B side they go.
Toxins going up.
Can Eccles find his flow? Toxin screen makes sure that anyone playing towards B lane can't really do much, so it's gonna be up to Excali's heart to somehow reveal a couple of players through this Toxin screen, but it doesn't really help. Excali dies instantly the moment he peeks out. Badman really activating himself. He's found his groove after being absent in the first map. Spike wanted on the go, and Eccles does get a couple of exits on the way out, but Deathmaker is left to do everything on his own. The odds are stacked against him. The spikes have gone, and with it, the hopes of velocity as well, but Deathmaker still clawing back.
Last player
Not just
standing.
yet. The hopes are not gone yet. Deathmaker. Oh, that's a disgusting shot. But the clutch will be denied with Rio peeking out in front of a beast.
Switching
And he
sides.
still manages to tame the beast. Velocity Gaming. They lost a round where they had the huge chance of winning, and now Velocity being forced on an attack where they weren't able to squeeze out a single round in the second half. This is problematic.
Very problematic, dude. Look at that massive win streak from Militant on the defense. Necro, I'm starting to get the vibe that it's about to get really cold in here. And not because of Venka, but because we're going to be heading into Icebox if things keep up this way.
I mean, I didn't even expect the OT with the way this game was going. In the
I
first
know.
half, VLT were just dominating all the way. It's a 9-3 curse! I guess
yeah.
the superstitions are real. The 9-3 curse does work, ladies and gentlemen. And you guys should be a believer in the 9-3 curse. The velocity this time, every single player is just stacking outside B long. And they're gonna go for this commitment, disrespecting all the utilities that were standing in their way. The Battle of somehow manages to find one with the spam, but VLT, they bounce back with the kills. But MLT, they're always finding their trades on the point. Now it's a 3-on-3. The flank from the back lines might just prove to be huge if it's not being countered.
Hellfighter's watching the backstab, but it's gonna come down to
use that one
timing.
screen.
Velocity haven't committed the plant yet. I guess they don't want to. They might just move into its CT and then try to go somewhere else. Oh, now this is big brain, but because Velocity are taking so much time, Militant have also figured out that something must be wrong. That's exactly why you see Rio move all the way back towards Art. But he's expecting a play towards A.
30
Little does
seconds
he
left.
know that Velocity are in spawn. They can easily get towards the site. They should be able to plant as well. Rio can't hope to challenge all three of them at once, but with the smoke, he can probably isolate them.
Spike
He's afraid
planted.
to peek out, and rightfully so. One spotted.
Face your fear!
Rio being spotted, and now the Nightfall gets committed too. This is really good for VLT, looking really fine.
Last player standing.
This is the sort of surprise VLT needed to bring inside the game as well, because they realized even if they are managing to get the side control, they're not able to play the post plants off perfectly. So this time, they add on a little bit of more twist. But Hellfighter, what a flick!
And that's the twist they needed. That has basically been the bread and butter of Militant Esports. They always try to just rush into the site as soon as that spike is planted. They're hoping that they won't be able... they're hoping that they won't allow Velocity Gaming to get into decent post-plant positions and probably catch them in the middle of transition. But this time Velocity flipped the script. They used their own tricks against them. They knew for a fact that the Militant backstab was inbound. So instead of planting for default and playing towards B ramp, which they could have been crunched on, they decided to push into its CT, and that works out for them wonderfully. Second overtime is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and Militant Esports are still making this very difficult.
One thing I can say for sure is that the target priority from MLT was looking really fine. But are they going to be able to rely or pull that similar type of play off? Are they going to be able to continue on the momentum they've been able to build so far? Deathmaker position compromised, dash primed. He doesn't want anything to do against him anymore. He just wants to fall back. The Cloud Burst are going to help him to fall back as well. But a good way to get rid of your opponents or to get the map control back in your hands.
Yeah.
MLT Esports just showing their presence off everywhere.
Yeah, but even after showing presence towards B main, they managed to get control of Art. But what they don't know is that Hellfighter's over
30
here.
seconds
Now
left.
they must have heard him, and the footsteps given away lead to Hellfighter's death. The High Tide makes sure that nobody else from Velocity can really peek inside, that there should be a free plant for Militant.
Spike planted.
Oh. Excali somehow with a random spam was able to find out Rio because his Prowler got stuck in the close right, and VLT somehow now they're able to get the grip back inside this entire defensive half. If they get this round in the hand, there's a high chance the attacking will be secured as well. But MLT, they're quite a stubborn team. They're not going to let that happen that easily. Badlow missed the shots, and his life will be compromised. The punishment's there from VLT. Nicely done. In the second OT, they got the first round in the hand, but are they going to get the second?
And this is Velocity winning a defense round after so long. After a massive loss streak, they're able to chain together this retake. It was looking dicey up until every single previous round so far, but now they've finally gotten themselves a hope of finishing this game soon enough. Velocity don't struggle on attack. They do struggle on defense, but with the first defensive round under their belt already, can they finish the game right here and now? Or are we going into yet another overtime?
Taking that back. Leave that back.
As the time passes by in Valorant Challenger South Asia, the competition is getting even fiercer. The teams that we don't expect to perform against the Goliaths, against the Titans, even now they're starting to have a chance to take them down. And this is a prime example of evolution, ladies and gentlemen. These teams are able to predict what the opponents are bringing to the table.
Look at this though. Velocity have used up only their 0 point and Prowlers. In return though, they've figured out the position of two of Militant's players. And they expect Knight Rider over here though. Knight Rider was spotted elsewhere, but Velocity still get the favorable trades regardless. Batman kills Hellfighter, who was flanking towards A main, and now the jig is up. The spike's been spotted, so Militant can play this crossfire. Top delivers, and Rhea peeks out of the smoke. It's all up to Doma. Overtime yet to be denied. Spike recovered, but he can't make his way back. Wenka tries to go for the jump peek. Rio peeks him, and the trade isn't there yet. A chance available now. Doma, with all his experience, calling well above his years. And Wenka gets the timing. We are going to yet another overtime.
MLT, what a competition given away. Give it up for them. This is their map pick at the start. It looked next to impossible for MLT to even make the comeback established, but slowly and steadily, gradually, they started to find those loopholes in VLT's attacking side. And they started punishing those small mistakes, those small openings that were being made. And now VLT, they're being dragged on an OT after an OT. This game is just getting even more entertaining as these OT keep on increasing. And I'm pretty sure now VLT, they're going to start to feel their nerves.
Whew. You can feel the tension in the atmosphere. It's palpable. All the smiles that existed on either side have now vanished, taken over by a bunch of serious frowns and stale, pale eyebrows.
This tactical timeout from VLT, they know. There has to be something that MLT is abusing. What is that thing? And that's what VLT are not able to figure out.
It's their ability to push Velocity back in all those retake scenarios. Every time Velocity get the plant down, Militant basically used the cascades to cut off the lines of sight, cut off the crossfires of Velocity Gaming. And while they are letting Velocity go for the plants quite easily, they make sure that Velocity don't get into comfortable post-plant positions. Even if they do, they make sure that Velocity have to peek ahead of these water walls to actually get a line of sight. The nanoswarms aren't really doing much to buy them time.
But MLT on their attack now. This time it's a huge change in the pace. Their intentions are to make it inside the B site, and they exactly do so. Flash is being utilized, but it's not going to face Venka at all. It's not going to catch him off guard. For VLT, they've got two players in the back lines, and now the crossfire is being played perfectly as well. Utility utilization from Eccles as always on the point. Battle of capitalizing from the back. Excali expects that. Eccles with a huge 3K has managed to put the full stop to the Cinderella story inside OT. But Rio is trying to keep it alive.
Oh my goodness, Cinderella dropped her shoe, but Militant dropped the side, which they were strong on. And now that Velocity have this attacking round in their half, let's see whether they can fare on defense or not. This watch party that they are hosting in Hyderabad seems to be getting more and more populated. And as tensions rise, so will the atmosphere.
I got this.
Wanted to see a competitive series?
Oh, you got it.
Exactly. You got it in your hands. And VOT is starting to move in. And you speak about that, and as you all know, that VOT, they start to sneak their way towards the arch area on their attacking side. Once again, going for that art control. And MLT, they're just playing off of that turret contact. As soon as the turret goes off, there's something that will be tried to pull off from MLT. An instant star was being used from VLT to block any sort of visual that will try to peek off from the turret contact. So that's nicely done.
Yeah, but after showing presence towards Odd, Velocity are falling all the way back. Eccles is still going for the lineups, which will land somewhere on the A site. And this is the similar kind of setup which he was using up until all this time. So this will still give MLT Esports a benefit of the doubt that Velocity are present in this region, whereas the opposite of that is true. And because Venka's holding a much shallower angle, he won't know that Velocity are already here until they are bursting into the site. Cloudburst. Deathmaker forced inside. He gets sprayed and bound down, and Hellfighter chimes in with one of his own. This seems to be the beginning of the end. And Badman now has to make it all on his own. A 1v5 required. And this seems like Velocity have it in the bag.
Concussion was used.
Flawless.
And MLT. Oh boy, a flawless round. MLT couldn't do anything much in that final one, but VLT, they once again established that dominance in the OT, and they claimed the map of Pearl. It was the map pick of MLT, and it indeed was a close game, but it took a while for MLT to capitalize on what exactly was going on. They woke up late, but they woke up like champs, but unfortunately, without the trophy in the hand. VLT, they win the series, but it was quite a close affair on the second map.
Yeah, and it seems like the teddy bear buff wasn't really enough. Velocity Gaming were challenged really hard by an unlikely contender. And even though this is a loss in the books of MLT Esports, they can still hold their head up high. No other team has forced Velocity Gaming into a double overtime like this.
I mean, they are showing the signs of 2-0. Yeah, indeed, it is a 2-0, but still, you guys weren't supposed to be dragged this far away, VLT. Oh, yeah. Boy. Imagine what the comeback started from. I don't exactly remember, but
12-7
I think so.
Or
It was
something?
6. I think so. It was 6.
Oh yeah, could be.
It was 9-3 curse, and then when the opponents had 6 rounds in the hand, VLT started running away with the lead, and then they started coming back without even dropping a single round. Indeed, quite impressive. The 9-3 curse was there, but unfortunately not strong enough to help MLT win today. And VLT, in the end, they get the grip. Good game indeed, though, from both the sides. It's an entertaining series. And a competitive one, too.
Oh, really competitive one. In that last overtime, Velocity decided to dive in towards the back halls instead and double focus on that. All the flashes were channeled in that direction, too, instead of being channeled ahead of the Toxin screen. And that adjustment, that tiny adjustment, allows Deathmaker to get that double. He's always been set up for success, but this time he really steps up.
Exactly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot to talk about that game. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll be right back after this short break.
Can't feel my wings, I need my hands. This life is real, can't play pretend. Came off the beach, I
The all-new i20, born magnetic.
Making dreams come true and memories happier.
On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this the 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage and they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. Keep the same energy. Work on being better when I'm 70. Your drip is just a water spring. You know I drip different, this is 7 seas. I deal with life different, make that lemon squeeze. Went off for my style and identity. Better bounce back and get the cheddar cheese. I guess that's why they envy me. On track, now we going way up. W's as easy as a layup. Working late, stay up, stay up. Counting all the way up. Counting blessings, yeah, you know we pray up, way up, pray up. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. On track, now we going way up, way up. Now we going way up, now we going. I got his band like I'm Barry Bonds. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need it, keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. I put that on my name, that I put them on. I put myself on stage as they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong.